A relatively warm winter caused some springtime flowers and shrubs to start blooming a little early, but yesterday's storm covered many of those new buds with snow and even some ice in some spots. So are the early bloomers now doomed? Garden expert Derek Thomas of Thomas Landscapes is here with a surprising answer. And I kind of left it open for you, Derek, because we said it might not be a bad thing. And I'm thinking, how can that be? Isn't it too cold? And good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Is it bad? Is it good?
You know, plants get it. Where we if we go out without a coat, we may catch, a chill. But the plants acclimate to what's going on. And this time of the year is a very roller coaster-ish time of the year.
Yeah. One
day can be in the 60s, the next day can be in the 30s. And these daffodils were blooming and in the snow yesterday.
Okay.
And they are just fine,
I mean,
Mother Nature's got it set up. Now, one of the things that you want to think about, particularly with a late season snow, is that sometimes you do need to get some of the snow off of the blooming plants and off of the shrubs.
Okay.
Because, for instance, areas where they did get 6 inches and more of snow, some of your shrubs may have already started to get a hint and start to want to grow. And what you want to do is you want to take the time, even with a broom, to get that heavy, heavy snow, like what we had yesterday, off of the plants.
I see some people cover them. Should you ever do that?
Well, the thing about covering them, now, if we get a foot of snow and you've covered it with a burlap or something like that, what you want to make sure, once again, is that there's not too much weight on each individual plant. The other thing to think about is when you have a plant like this primrose is grown for the indoors. Now, there are other primroses that are grown and you can put outdoors right now. If you were to put this plant outdoors yesterday, you may have experienced that all of the blossoms would have died.
Because it's used to being inside.
Because it's used to being inside, it's used to the warmer temperatures, and it would have been a shock to the flowers. Now, the primroses that you have that are outside, that were grown outside, that have acclimated to outside, are going to be just fine.
I think we have some pictures to take of some other plants and how they did. Let's look at the pansies.
And see, the pansies there are blooming in the snow. And the big thing to think about is, like the ones in the very foreground, if they got too covered with snow, you want to try to get that snow gently off of them so that you're not breaking the foliage. But the plants themselves will rebound.
It's amazing to think of that.
It absolutely is.
Here are evergreens. I think we know the answer. It's built in with the name.
But you can see the evergreens. What's happened is the evergreens have a broader mass because they've kept their leaves all winter because they are evergreens. And you see how they're starting to bow down under the weight of the snow?
Right.
That's what you want to work on getting off.
Get the broom out. Take that snow off.
Knock that snow off so that you don't have broken limbs.
Okay.
Because broken limbs are not repairable.
We talked about the daffodils. Let's see the pretty daffodils.
And see, there's the daffodil that I brought in today,
sad.
and I went out and snapped that yesterday. But the daffodil, if we can get a shot here, it's back, and it's doing just fine. So the big thing to do is not to panic when you have these little, snow events that go through, or the weather fluctuation.
All right.
Now, if we have a hard freeze, that could blacken and destroy the flowers. And in that case, the best thing to do is to remove any flowers that have been blackened, let the plant mature out, and next year you'll get blooms again.
Let's talk about the cherry blossoms. I mean, we came out with the peak bloom date and all of that. How does an event like what we saw yesterday, does that affect our blossoms?
The blossoms have not come far enough along.
Okay.
If they had started to show a little bit of color, if they had started to open more than what they are, we could technically have affected some of the blossom. If we get a snowstorm in the middle of a peak bloom of the cherry blossoms, then you could see damage to the blossoms. Right now they're okay and they're ready. I think the mall has predicted around March 23rd or so was going to be peak bloom, and I think we're still on track for that.
Going to see it. They're ready to pop. Oh, that's my grandma's birthday, March 23rd. That would be wonderful. Derek, thank you so much. How can the people reach out and touch you?
At Thomas Garden Guy. Follow me on Twitter. It's all of these, a lot of these questions came through yesterday. I got some pictures from people that were saying, what am I going to do? Everything's in the snow. And so that's why we did the segment. Hopefully it's been helpful.
He's here for us, as always. Thank you, Derek. Tony, over to you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both. Coming up, the